Okay, now let's see this question. This question came in GATE 2014 for 2 marks. The question is, let S denote the set of all functions f from 0 1 raised to the power 4 to 0 1. So basically 0 1 raised to the power 4, it simply means that this is basically a, you can understand it like this. So 0 1 is a set, right? And raised to the power 4, it means that there will be basically, you can understand it like 4 tuple. So there will be a 4 tuple, right? And each of them can be 0 or 1. Okay, so this is the way of representing. So from this to 0 1, okay, how many such functions you can have? That set of functions, that entire set of functions is denoted by S. Okay, now we are interested in the cardinality of S, like number of elements in S. Why? Because later they are saying that let N denote the number of functions from S, from this set. So from this set to this set, whatever the number of functions came, that is S. And now they are defining another function where the elements are from set S, from S till to 0 1. Okay, and this, whatever is the number of functions, that they are denoting by S, and then they are trying to find what is the value of n, and then they are asking what is the value of log n. That is the answer which we have to give. Firstly, we have to calculate n. For that, we have to calculate the cardinality of S firstly, and for that we have to understand that how to calculate cardinality in case of two given sets, and the functions are from one particular set to another particular set. Okay, so let's say this is domain. Okay, this is domain and this is codomain. Okay, so if there are m elements in the first set, which is domain, and there are n elements in the second set, then you might have read that the number of functions which can be defined from A to B. So there are m elements in set A, let's say this is set A, and there are n elements in set B. Then the number of functions is basically the cardinality of B raised to the power cardinality of A. Cardinality is basically the size. So whatever is the number of elements, so number of element is n here, so the answer will be n raised to the power m. So the number of functions is basically n raised to the power m. Now how this is coming, you might be already knowing this. I will just give a brush up. So you can understand that any particular element in the first set can be mapped to any one of the elements. It cannot be mapped to more than one, right? So if it is mapped from here to here, then it cannot be mapped from one to other. So that is essentially the definition of a function, right? In a function, a particular element can be mapped to only a single unique element, and exactly one element from the from one set. It can be mapped to only one and another one and only one element in the other set. So basically, if it is mapped like this, then it cannot map to any other element. However, there are how many ways in which this can be mapped? See, this can be mapped to this, or if this is not mapped to this, then it could have been mapped to some other element, right? It could have been mapped to, let's say, this. But how many such elements are there? There are n elements. So for every element, how many ways are there for mapping? For every element, 1 2 3 4 n, the total size of this second set, the codomain set, that is n. So basically for every element we have n ways to map it. For the second element we have n ways. For the third element we again have n ways. So you understand that this number of functions is basically n into n, like simply the product rule of combinatorics. So it will be n into n into n, how many times for each element? So these are basically m times for each element. There are m elements, so there are m times we are doing this product, and this is essentially n raised to the power m, which I wrote it here, right? So this is how this n raised to the power m comes. So using this formula, you can understand that that what is happening is that if a particular set, let's say this is there, okay, and let's say this is there, okay. So in this case, how many elements are there in this case? There are two elements like 0 and 1. However, how many elements are there in this, the first set? See, I told you already that you can understand it like a 4 tuple, and each of them can be two ways. So 0 or 1, 0 or 1. So how many such tuples can be there? It can be 2 into 2 into 2 into 2. So overall 2 raised to the power 4, which is 16. So there are 16 different tuples possible using this notation. 0 1 raised to the power 4. So it essentially means that it is a 4 tuple. Each of the elements can be 0 or 1, and in that fashion it can have 16 elements. So we said that there are 16 elements in this first set, there are 2 elements in the second set. So from that fashion, what is the number of functions? The number of functions is basically 2 raised to the power 16, okay, and this number of functions is basically the cardinality of S, because S is basically the set of all those functions. So the cardinality of S, the size of S can be simply written as 2 raised to the power 16, okay. Once we have got this, then see, again they have said that, okay, let n denote the number of functions from S to 0 1. Now again, what is the size of S? I have already said 2 raised to the power 16. What is the size of this? It is 2, okay. And what is n? N is the number of functions. So again we will calculate that if this mapping is defined, then what is the number of functions possible? Same, this raised to the power of this, okay. So n is going to be 2 raised to the power 2 raised to the power 16. You can understand, right? So 2 raised to the power 16, whole thing is powered on 2. So 2 raised to the power 2 raised to the power 16, that is n. In that sense, they are asking what is the value of log n. So one time if you take log, then one time if you take log on both sides, then it will be 2 raised to the power 16. If you take one more time log, then it will be log n this side, and then this thing will be 16, okay. And now exactly they are asking this value only, that what is the value of log n, and that value is 16, okay. So the answer is 16.